Alright, so supply chain risk. Okay, when you have a supplier, okay, you have a chain of supplier, so that you have to think about the risk. Okay, that in mind lah, the risk of this supply chain. Okay, right. If we more rely on the suppliers, okay, we rely more our sources tu, kita rely more on supply chain or more rely on suppliers, okay, so means we have more risk, okay, it depends more on outsource, means more risk that we have to consider, okay, right. So if you want to reduce the risk, then maybe you have to reduce the rely on more on supply chain, okay, right. And if you have few supplier, okay, you have a few supplier, you have long-term relationship, okay, means that you depends more on your supplier, okay. A few supplier, then we depends more on supplier. Then when you depend more on the supplier, then a lot of other maybe depends, kita dia increase dia punya risk tu, okay, if supplier shortage in dia punya sources, then it will affect our company, okay, our firms, right. Okay, so few supplier we have the advantage of few supplier, we can manage more our suppliers, but when we increase dependence on the suppliers, so we have to manage the risk in these suppliers, right. Okay, so also that because now supply chain, okay, we are compounded by the globalization, okay, we have global suppliers, okay, there is suppliers from different country, okay, from different geographical area, okay, so we have to bear that this is there's a risk lah, okay, maybe something happen in that country, so will affect our source, right, okay, logistical, okay, in terms of logistic also, when we have a global supply chain, so there is a complexity in logistic management, right, okay, and when we have a vendor, so we have to manage the reliability of that vendor, okay, the supply that supplies by vendor too, okay, so it's either the quality up to the level that we want or not, okay, right. And the next supply chain too is the political, stable political in that country, okay, and also the exchange rate of the currency, okay. So it keep increase, so our cost, we cannot maintain the same cost, okay, maybe increase, sometimes decrease, sometimes increase, depends to the currency of country of our suppliers, okay. So that is the supply chain risk, okay, yeah, that firms have to bear to consider, right, okay. So when there is a risk, okay, so there are few tactics or mitigation tactics for the supply chain risk, okay. So firms before they during that they have to do some research, okay. When you want to deal with the supplier, so they have to do some research and consider what is the possible risk when they deal with this supplier, whether globalized ke ataupun internal supplier ke, whatever supplier, they have to consider what the possible risk, okay, right. And then they have to do some planning lah, okay, planning how to if this risk happens, so what is the best way, there's a planning to mitigate, to overcome that risk, okay, right. So try to reduce the potential when you assess the risk, the possible risk, okay, so try to reduce what is the potential disruption, okay, try to reduce how we can overcome this potential disruption or potential risk, okay, right. Please prepare how we want to respond to the negative events, okay. We must prepare if there is a negative event, so how firms will respond for that negative events, okay. All right. And then next is that we have a flexible supply chain and also that secure, okay. When we deal with the next I will explain the tactics, okay, the more tactics, the mitigation tactics, okay. So right now they must have some tactics, okay, how you have to secure the chains, okay, right, so that reduce the potential risk, okay. Another, usually when we want to risk the supply chain, reduce the suppliers risk, okay, we diversify supplier base, okay, we use more suppliers, okay. So if this supplier have a problem, then we have another supplier, okay, right. So this is the example of the risk and also the tactics how we want to reduce the risk. Okay, right. So example risk, let's say supplier fail to deliver, okay, to deliver the materials or the sources. Okay, so the tactics is that use multiple supplier. Okay, effective contracts with the penalty. So this all the risk ni, okay, the tactics ni usually effective contracts with the penalties. Okay, you can see that more in more risk too, the tactics they use that create the contracts with the penalties to the supplier. Okay, right. Then the next set is subcon, the retainer pre-planning. Okay, this is used by the McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's plan its supply chain 6 years before it's opening in Russia. Okay, in Russia tu 6 years before tu dia plan the supply chain. Okay, right. So the plan, bakery, meat, chicken, so they close monitor, okay, to make sure that this risk ni they can reduce the risk to that supplier fail to deliver. Okay, quality fail to deliver, but supplier quality failures. Okay, it means that they deliver the quality not up to our level. Okay. So the tactics is careful supplier selection. During the selection, the training, the supplier investigation and monitoring. So during quality ni means that during the management of supplier tu, you have to do all this. You have to train the supplier, certify the supplier and monitor the supplier. Okay, right. So the example is Darden restaurant. This is the example in US. Okay, right. The Darden restaurant. Okay. They place the extensive control, okay, including they have a third-party audits on the supplier, okay, all the audit, the processes, the monitor punya logistik tu semua tu to reduce this risk, okay. Okay, so risk outsourcing risk, okay, take over the production, okay. So kalau ada risk in outsource tu, then we take over the production, we integrate them. Right, then kita provide ourselves, okay, the firm provide themselves, okay. So example Tyson, okay, took over the chicken farm production in China to mitigate the product quality and safety concern, right. So related to using independent, ni dia punya example, okay, they take over the production. Okay, logistic delays or damage, kalau this is dia punya risk ni, logistic delays or damage, okay, then the tactics can use the multiple transportation modes, okay, and warehouse, okay, secure the packaging and effective contracts with penalties, okay. So must have the contract and have penalties to the supplier, okay. So Walmart use this tactic, okay, with its own tracking fleet and numerous distribution center, okay. They have fleet and numerous distribution center, okay, and they have alternative origin routes, okay, so that they can bypass the problem area. Okay. Another risk, okay, distribution risk, okay, so careful selection, monitoring and effective contract with penalties, okay. So kalau the risk tu during the distribution, so you have to monitor during the selection, and then you monitor you punya supplier, and then you must have the effective contract with penalties, okay. Ini Toyota, okay, example Toyota ni dia nak reduce this risk, they use this tactic, okay, they training its dealer around the world, invoking principles. They introduce the Toyota production system, okay, they introduce the Toyota production system ni, later I will explain in chapter 16, lean operation, okay, what is the Toyota production system, okay. Alright, so they introduce this system, their system to dia punya dealers and suppliers, okay, so that they can improve the customer service, okay, for the distribution. information loss or distortion based on the information ni. So you must the tactics itself, you have the redundant data, you have database, a few database lah, okay. Save the same information, okay. Secure IT system and then training the partner about how to manage the information ni, okay. Training how they want to interpret and use the information lah, okay. Right, so Boeing use this tactic, okay, they utilize the state of the art international communication system that transmit engineering, scheduling and logistic data to the facilities and suppliers worldwide, okay. Right, so they train about how to nak transfer information pun ada training juga, okay. Alright, so if the political risk, okay, so political ni, istilah, okay, political, you have insurance, okay. You must have a diversification cross country, okay, and then also you can franchise or license, okay. So Hard Rock Cafe reduce, they use this tactic to reduce the political risk, okay. So they franchise and license dia punya cafe, restaurant, cafe, kan, okay, not owning, okay, that they don't own, they just franchise to other countries, okay. Right, so then when you franchise, so they will manage based on that culture punya ni lah, country culture. Right, economic risk, okay. Hedging to combat exchange rate, okay, exchange rate risk, purchasing contract and address price fluctuation, okay. So ada dia punya contract semua tu, and in the contract tu dia address dari price fluctuation, okay. So Honda and Nissan, okay, they use this tactic. They are moving to more manufacturing out of Japan, okay. When the exchange rate for the yen makes Japanese made autos more expensive. So now they have in US, they have in a few countries they punya manufacturing tu, okay, Honda and Nissan, right. Okay, natural catastrophe, okay, kalau ada problem ni, so you have insurance and then must have the alternate sourcing in maybe different country ke, and have country diversification, okay. So Toyota, okay, so Toyota ni, they use this, so they have at least 2 suppliers in different geographical region, okay. Right, so if this and then one supplier have the natural disaster ni, so they have another supplier to can supply, so they can continue with the production. It have vandalism and terrorist risk, okay, so you must have insurance and patent protection, patent your product, okay, you must patent your product so that supplier cannot copy your products, okay. Right, so and then also that you have a security measures that you can use RFID and GPS to monitor your inventory, okay. Right, so domestic port radiation initiative ni in US ni, they monitors all the containers, okay, for radiation ke, for apa semua they scan lah, okay. Right, they monitor closely. Okay, so that is the tactics, okay. How to mitigation tactics to reduce the supplier risk, okay. Right, and also that the company there is a possibility juga, okay. So during the shipments, okay, during the transportation, during the delivery, okay, so maybe the shipment get misrouted, okay, stolen, okay, sometimes it's happened, okay, they stole the container, okay, damage inventory during the shipments, okay, or delays the very long time, okay. Right, so they must have secured this risk ni, okay, shipment, during the shipment, okay. So a lot of risk during the shipment, okay. So maybe they have to improve lah, using the innovation, they can improve the security and inventory management during the shipment tu, okay, not during the production. Okay, previously tu more pada during production, this is during logistic area, okay. So you want to ship, after you complete, you want to ship to the warehouse ke or to the retailer ke, okay. So you have to manage that, improve the security and manage the inventory during the shipment, okay. So what techniques that you can use, maybe you have a location punya monitor kan, okay, motion the sensor, you know where is now your inventory, okay, alright. So the temperature to make sure that the product in in the container or during the shipment is not damaged, okay, right. And also that you can track uh, uh, if you can track your punya shipment tu, then maybe you can monitor, lah, you can reduce the punya apa the risk during the shipment, okay. So do some tracking. So that one way they suggest that to 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 handle this to reduce this thing, maybe that the firms can use this JIT. JIT is stand for just in time, okay. So JIT is will explain in lean operation. So now you can see that supply chain, okay, supply chain topic is quite related to the lean operation or just in time. Lean or just in time tu the same thing. You can use it simultaneously, okay. So it's either JIT. Sometimes we refer to JIT, and some terms we use as a lean, okay, right. Okay, so the next issue in the supply chain is the risk, okay. So this is the next issue is a procurement, okay. Procurement is purchasing, purchase the supply, okay, purchase. Okay, so procurement is usually done by the purchasing department. Okay, so they are responsible to obtain the materials, parts, supplies. So the usually procurement or purchasing department will deal with the suppliers, okay, right. So they get everything and they make sure that all these things are provided when they want to produce the product or want to provide the services, okay, right. So the goal of procurement, okay, in every firms, right. So at least they must develop and implement the purchasing plans, okay. So suppliers need purchasing is quite important, okay, for products and services that support the operation strategy, okay. They must have the purchasing plans, okay, so that they can the other department can continue their operation, okay. So you can see that purchasing departments, okay, they punya interface tu not only they stand by them alone, okay, they have to deal with the operation, what they want to purchase, deal with the legal to create the contract, okay, effective contract, okay, accounting to do some, whether they are able, finance department whether they are able to purchase the materials or not, and then data processing, you have information, you have system connected with your suppliers, okay, when you want to order, whether you can integrate the system with the suppliers or not, you just key in data and your suppliers get the order, right. So also then also in with the design punya department, okay, when you want to design department, you have to make sure that purchasing department can buy get able to get the punya materials lah during the design tu, dia kena deal with, they have to deal with the purchasing department juga, okay, and also receiving the materials or the sources that purchasing department purchase that materials, okay. So they have to the purchasing ni dia punya interface ni, or they have to deal with every department in the company or in the firms, okay. And the internal, okay, they deal with the supplier, okay. This is internal, this is external, right. Okay, right. So this is dia punya duties, okay, duties of purchasing. Okay, the task lah, okay. So identify the sources of supply, okay, where they can get the supply, and then do some negotiating contracts about the price, about the delivery, whatever, negotiate, okay, the contracts too, and then purchasing, procurement or purchasing, the same thing, okay. So procurement department pun they have to maintain the database of the supplier, okay, they have the database of supplier, they make sure they can obtain the goods and services that the firms need, and they have to manage the supplier. So this is basically the duties of the purchasing department. Okay, right? Okay. So the next is supplier management. How you want to manage your supplier? Okay. Right, so nak manage supplier ni, when you have a supplier, a few supplier ke, many supplier ke, okay. So first step, when during the choosing, when you want to choose the supplier, okay. When you want to choose the supplier, so you have to choose the proper supplier lah, okay, that can fulfill your requirement, okay. And then you have to do some audits to your supplier. Either you use the third party auditor, or you can assign your own auditors to audit your suppliers. Either they can manage to supply based on our quality or not, okay. And maybe you can give some certification. This is actually for big large firm, okay, large company, okay. Then you can certify your supplier. If you are if you are in a SME, or you are quite small company, then it's quite difficult that you want to certify your supplier, okay, right? So usually for large firm, then they Toyota, Honda, others yang bigger company, Samsung, so they can supply this, they can certify the supplier, and the supplier can manage, can are able to supply based on the quality so they have their own certification, so they certified. Or maybe what you can do, we ask supplier to, the firms also can ask the supplier to get the international certification such as ISO, okay. It's not certified by the firms, but certified by the quality, the international company tu, like ISO ke, ada certification lah, okay, based on our products, okay. A lot of certification, okay. So get the supplier certification, and then get some relationship with the supplier, okay. So you have to monitor about the supplier relationship, okay. Some either a few, if you have few supplier, then maybe you can have a supplier relationship, but many supplier maybe it's quite difficult, but still you can have that relationship, okay, right? Or maybe you can do some partnership with your suppliers, okay, right? So when you want to partner with your suppliers, okay, this is the system that you can use, okay, CPFR, okay, in the supplier partnership, CPFR, collaborative planning, forecasting and replenishment, okay. So this is one system, okay. Yes, one system. You share the system together. Then when you partner with your suppliers, it's easy for you to share the system, okay. So when you share the system, then when you do the planning, supplier also can do involvement because they share the same system. They know what we want to plan. Then we can do some, when we want to forecast for the next new production, they also know what our forecasting, okay, and when they can replenish the materials, okay, right. So this is usually the CPFR is a system, okay. So we can share that one system together with our supplier, okay, right. Also that this is kind of strategic partnering, okay. We just partner and we must strategically we partner with our supplier, okay. So you have to manage the supplier, okay. And also this same lah, you have to do some vendor analysis, okay, about dia punya quality, reputation, okay. So this is the same thing, right? Okay. Do some audits and do some examination, kan, the capabilities of the suppliers, right? Okay. So this is more important to manage the supplier, right? Okay, so when we set the supplier relationship though, okay, it's maybe you can do some short term only relationship, or long term, or medium term, okay. right? So it's not necessarily we said relationship we have a long-term relationship, maybe just short-term je, okay? Short-term relationship, okay, during the bidding ke, and usually short-term ni the interaction tu is quite minimum, okay? Right, so short-term just during when we want to when we open the contract, then during that time only, okay? Right, so medium term, okay, it's like an ongoing relationship, okay? We just try to establish the relationship between the suppliers, okay? Longer than I means that after the punya starting tu lah, okay? So medium term, and then a long term tu, this is we get the greater cooperation from the our supplier. So maybe that then this is evolved to the partnership. Okay, if we have a long term supplier that keep supply the material to our firm, so maybe that we can convert this to a partnership. Okay, so they started the partnership ni usually it started with the long the repetitive suppliers. Okay, you cannot when we want to start new suppliers, then we want to do a partnership, it might be difficult lah, okay? They don't understand our punya culture or company firm. So long term is you have a long term relationship, then it will evolve to in a partnership. Okay. Alright. Okay. So the next is the logistic. Okay. Okay, in supply chain also logistic, dia punya transportation, okay, logistic movement of materials, any type of movement lah, okay, movement of materials, movement of services, cash, information, okay, right, so all the movement, this is we refer to the movement, movement for production lah, okay, right, related to the production of the product, okay. Alright, so logistic ni not only logistic we deliver transport to the external, to the warehouse, to the rigger, okay, but also logistic, yes, why Siti? Okay, so this is an example of logistic within a facility, within a factory, within in one facility. Okay, so this is also the logistic. Okay, so this is an incoming area, outgoing area. Okay, so incoming you receive the materials. Okay, and then go to the storage. So you have to manage this logistic also, okay? Whether you want to deliver directly to the work center or you want to store your inventory, okay? Go directly to the work center, from one work center to the another work center, okay? So the next, whether you want to put it in the storage, when you want to put in the storage, okay? So every work center they have to manage their own logistic. When we want to receive the materials and when we want to make sure that we have to pass to the next punya work center, okay? So that's the logistic also, they have to manage this, okay? When is it at the right time, okay? Especially when I explain to you later about the lean operation, okay? So it involves to manage every step, they have to manage when we want to receive and when we want to make sure to pass, okay? Because we have to avoid the bottleneck, okay, so we have to make sure that we have a very smooth production, okay. So when every work center like to receive materials and to pass it to the other process and to pass it to the other work center, okay. So this is a logistic in within the facility, okay, and then this is they have to manage when they will receive and when they want to like to ship the materials to, okay. So this is all the logistic, okay, right? So the shipping system or logistic lah, logistic shipping transportation system ni same lah, okay. Alright, so the system, okay, usually the few system yang we can use to ship our materials, our services, okay, whether you use a truck, okay, tracking system, Jadi common lah, okay, and used by majority of manufacturer, okay, moved by truck, right, okay. Okay, so usually it's quite easy lah to manage, to move the materials by the truck, okay, as long as you can manage the effective routes, okay, you find the effective routes, okay, then you can, this is the best the system that you can choose, okay, right. So then also that maybe cost dia tu lower compared to the others, okay, truck ni, okay, large truck ke apa ke, okay, and also that you usually kalau truck ni we can manage to as long as nothing happen during the delivery tu, usually we can able to deliver on time lah, okay. So next is the railroad, okay, the railroad, and railroad ni usually if you want to deliver large loads compared to use truck, okay, okay, so we use railroad, okay. Tons, okay, especially commodities lah, okay. So commodities, we move the commodities new product using a railroad, okay, right. Air freight, okay. So air freight ni is more for light loads, then you can use air freight, okay. Maybe quite expensive, but it's more fast and flexible, okay, compared to the railroad. But air freight ni, if truck and the railroad cannot access, then you can use air freight, okay, other alternative, right? Okay, but quite expensive lah usually air freight ni. Now kita ada FedEx, UPS, semua tu there is a freight. It's not only for individual. FedEx, UPS also they have a shipment for company. Okay, right? Okay, waterways. Okay, using waterways. Okay, so waterways ni usually for bulky product and the low value punya. Okay, low value, right? So you can waterways. Okay, so this is the oldest punya means, okay, the old punya means to transport the materials, okay. So usually they start from previous 18 something, okay, right. So you can transport internationally, okay. So waterways ni used preferred when we shipping cost ni is more important than speed, okay. So if you want to reduce the shipping cost, is more our focus compared to the speed delivery, then we can use the waterways. If we want to the speed, if our focus more on speed, then maybe you can use air freight or railroads, okay. But still waterways is not, maybe you can use for not accessible. The other alternative of waterways is air freight lah, okay. So waterways usually is not accessible for railroads and truck system, okay. Right. So the next punya shipping system ni we have a pipelines, okay. Pipelines ni usually to transport the oil, gas and other chemical products dulu, okay. Now they just transport the oil tu using the pipeline je, okay. So ni yang this is what they want to they put under the water tu, okay. They embedded the pipeline so under the water, okay. Alright, last one is we use a multi-modal, okay, which is combines a shipping methods, okay. We combine, right. Maybe combine ni usually international shipment lah, okay. So use air freight and then a truck, use air freight or railroads, okay. Using this on the waterways, and then the next after arrive at the intended country too, and then you use the truck system, okay. Right, so combination, right. Okay, and you must have, because we have a standardized containers, okay. The containers too is standard, okay. This size only, or maybe a few size, but the standards, okay, right. It depends lah whether you want to use the slower methods ke, you use the waterways. If you want waterways and the railroads, if for the bulky punya product, if you want to it faster, use the air freight and then truck. Okay. Right. So when during this punya process ni, okay, then you have to monitor your materials kan. Your inventory tu during when you want to deliver from one country to another country ke one facility to another facility, then you want to manage the inventory, okay, right? Or you want to track your inventory, okay. So now the latest the system or technology that we use to that firms can use to monitor the inventory or track their inventory is RFID, okay, radio frequency identification. So RFID ni originally they used to track the goods lah, to track the materials, to track the inventory. But now RFID ni we can use in wide area lah, okay, parking. Now apa tu the toll, okay, dah use RFID. A lot of system they use the RFID, but originally they use based on RFID, used for inventory, okay. In the beginning, okay, they create this RFID to monitor the inventory, okay. So RFID, radio frequency identification. So they use a radio frequency, you know, a radio frequency ni can quite distance to quite far, right? Okay. Alright, so they use the radio wave ni to track the goods, okay. So dia similar, dia punya proses tu, or the technology tu similar to the barcodes, okay. Barcodes, you know, when you want to you go to the Tesco, you buy something and they scan the barcode, okay. The idea is same as barcode, but barcode they have to touch, okay. You have to touch the scanner and the barcode to scan, okay. But RFID they have a chip, a reader, a chip and the reader, okay. So the reader chip must have a same wave, okay. The reader tu dengan chip yang they have chip tu, they must have a same wave, and they can the distance more quite far compared to the barcodes, okay, right? And they can convey the information more compared to the barcode. Barcode ni one by one, but RFID you put the chip. Let's say you want to deliver using you want to ship your materials using the waterways, okay. So in the container you have one container, so you key in all the information about all the materials in the container in only one chip, okay. So a very small chip, okay. So then that chip you put in the container, you put it in box ke whatever, only one chip, but have all the information about that one container, okay. Right, so and then you ship it using the waterways, okay. So when that containers arrive at another country, at the port, another country, okay. So they don't need to open the containers to check what is about the materials. Only use the reader, scan the chip too, then they will get all the information about whatever materials in that container, okay. But we must have an issue trust issue in this case, okay. Alright. Okay, so then it's easy to track, okay. Then also that the original country too, they can monitor whether this received or not, whether it safely arrived at the other country or not, okay. So and it's easy to read, to track and to monitor the inventory, okay. Right, so just use the radio wave, and it's quite, you can when you use RFID, it depends to the wave that you want to set, okay, between the chips too and the reader, okay. It can go quite far, up to 3 kilometer for radio wave, you know, radio wave, where is the radio station, we can listen wherever we are, okay, as long as we use the same wave and as long as they set their wave too that we can reach, okay. It depends, you want to set 10 kilometers, so the container still on the ship, okay, it's quite kilometer far, 10 kilometer far from the port, they still can read if the wave that the chip and reader set is more than 10 kilometers. Okay, so then they can scan. They already know that, oh, our container is in the area, then whatever materials in there, this is they get all the information. Okay, so this is can improve to help them to monitor the inventory and also manage the suppliers, right? Okay, so this example that this is example RFID used in Walmart. Okay, in one supermarket. Okay, alright. So they have inventory. They receive the Pampers. Okay, this is used by the Pampers. Okay, Pampers. PNG by PNG. Okay, alright. So each box ni they have a RFID tags. Okay, so they have go to through some scanner lah. Okay, of course. When we have RFID, we must have a scanner or reader. Okay, alright. So we have then go through, then pop terus they keep the inventory. How many they receive now? Okay, they already alert the stock room. Okay, right? Or maybe also RFID can give the information that when okay, they put the scanner ni or the detector ni on the shelf. Okay, on the shelf. Okay, so when depends lah based on how they want to manage the bin stock tu. So if they said last item, so when the last item is taken and is take out on this out of shelf, okay, so then they give the alert the suppliers or the workers that these Pampers need to restock. Okay, right? So it doesn't need that workers have to go to check whether there is a stock or not. Okay, see, it's automatically they get the message that we have to restock. Okay, so and it pass along the chain tu, okay, until up to the factory. Okay, and then when deliver, they already scan and then they detect how many they receive. Okay, it's everything is they use the RFID, the recorded, the alert tu semua, everything is in that chip. Okay, but remember, but the scanner, the reader or scanner must have the same wave with the with the chips too. Okay, they must have the same wave, right? Okay, now can see the RFID ni they use in the parking. Okay, as a parking block. Guard, okay, guard house. Okay, when you can as long as you have that card, you put your card in the car. You don't have to wave that card at the reader anymore. Okay, itu barcode. Kalau you have to touch the cards to that reader tu, touch, then the gate will open. That is the barcode. Okay, it's the barcode. But if you put the card in your car, and then when you go to that gate tu, and the gate open automatically without you doing anything, that is the RFID. So depends to what type of. It's either barcode or RFID. Okay, so now pun dulu smart tag, previously smart tag in toll punya booth tu, smart tag is a barcode. Okay, you have to touch. Okay, smart tag. Sorry, touch and go barcode. Okay, smart tag they use infrared to read. Okay, so they don't use radio wave. Okay, they have scanner that scan quite far. Okay, then you have to scan. You have to make sure that the tag tu, you have to make sure that you have to display that tag so that the scanner can scan. Okay, smart tag. Okay, but now RFID they just put tag there. Okay, they put tag in car, in front of car to them, you can scan. Okay, but touch and go, the tags that they use to, the wave they used quite low. Okay, compare if you go, I know some many of you have went to the Singapore. Okay, Singapore, dia punya toll system tu, you just go through, and the toll booth, even sometimes we don't know there is a toll booth, kan? Okay, so they can read, okay, the toll then deduct from our account. Okay, so you just go through je. But Tashengo ni the wave tu they use quite low. That's why you have to slow down, go through. Okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe because this is during dia punya transition punya time, so they just use the low wave because there is a smart tag RFID. Maybe later in I think in 2022 they plan to all of the punya booth to the RFID. Maybe it's better they use wave better punya wave. Okay, so we don't have to stop. We just go through and they deduct our toll from our account. Okay. Right. Okay, so the next is third party logistic. Okay, third party logistic, still logistic, but maybe you can use third party others. Okay, so we outsource the logistic. Okay, we don't provide the transportation by our in the firm. Okay, we provide. So a lot of company now outsource the logistic. Okay, right. So it can reduce the maybe you can improve kita punya the reliability lah because that company tu they expert in the delivery. Okay, right. So third party logistic not only shipment. Okay, maybe third party for warehouse, third party to assemble, testing and shipping and everything. Okay, that is third party ni. So we outsource that. Third party logistic ni we outsource lah, outsource for the warehouse. We outsource the assemble punya step. Okay, we outsource the shipment punya ni. So can use that third party. Okay. Okay. Alright, so the last one is the ethics. Okay, ethics in supply chain, right? Okay, so this is quite important lah in supply chain. When you want to manage to, then there is some ethics lah. Okay, so depends to the personal ethics during the suppliers management. Okay, so it depends to the personal ethics. Okay, especially during the madam in Europe. Sorry. Oh. Use what, Afnan? Europe use RFID. Yelah, many country have been used RFID tag ni. I think 10 years ago. 10 years ago, yelah, more than 10 years ago, they already used the RFID tag. We only in Malaysia that we are in the process to use the RFID, but still slow, very low punya wave. Okay, because you have to slow down very slow, then the tag, then the gate will open. So the wave is very, it's a good wave. So they can read quite far. Okay, when your car have that still they can read already. Then can go through. Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe because this is a transition time. Okay, because still there is a smart tag. They share the same gate and smart tag still have a Tashengo, but in 2022 they aim to fully RFID. Okay, I think 2022 or 2023. I cannot remember, but I think 2022 lah. Okay, probably we hope that when they fully use RFID too, at least they can use a better punya wave. Maybe 100 meter before they can read 100 meter. So 100 meter the gate is already open, and it's supposed that when they use RFID tag for toll booth too, they don't have that gate. Okay. Okay, so personal ethics. Okay. So supply chain okay, so this is quite, when you have a long term, okay, long term suppliers relationship kan, so the personal ethics is quite important, quite very critical. Okay, it's quite critical because it's so many things can happen. Okay, during that time. Okay, so then sometimes because of when you deal with the same suppliers, okay, maybe there is the possibility that the suppliers want to give you a tokens, okay, tokens of friendship. Okay, all right, they starting with token of friendship. and then it become, if you receive more and more, and then become bribes, okay, then you want to because you have a very good relationship with the supplier, you deal with, then you make some agreement to reduce the quality ke, but you pay more. So that's a personal ethics, depend to individual workers to deal, okay. But this is very critical. So the company, what the company can use, so they must have a very strict punya guideline, okay, strict rules or code of conduct, okay, about how the individual have to behave when they manage their suppliers, okay. They have to put, this is the employees punya, the employees responsibility, okay. Right, we can put some apa, rules or codes of conduct to supplier, but still at the end of the day the employee itself, they have to they have their own responsibility, okay. If suppliers try to give something, then maybe you just try to avoid that thing, okay. Alright, so and also that maybe you can avoid that there is a possibility for conflict of interest, okay. Right, the conflict of interest, okay, maybe the supplier is their friend ke, okay, so try to avoid that firms, okay. Alright, so ethics within the supply chain though, okay, ethics within the suppliers, okay. Alright, and then also during the punya resources, purchase resources, okay. So they have they should have some ethical conducts during the punya management lah, okay. The relationship tu, right. So also that sometimes firms and suppliers, the relationship with the firm and suppliers, how they communicate, okay. Is it okay to use this kind of punya language, okay. So sometimes there is a verbal abuse also, okay, during within the supply chain, okay. Alright, in some country they have problem within this, they have abuse, they have vandalism, okay, about safety, okay, within the supply chain. So they must have some ethical standards, okay, right. So they put some guideline lah, okay. And also that in the supply chain ni, okay, they must ethic to the environment, okay. Ethical behavior to the environment, right. Okay, so because the supplier have to manage the supply, so they will deal with the resources, okay. So then how they will make sure that the resources too is the impact to the environment when you want to manage to, how they can renew the resources, okay. Alright, so then if they need this continuous resources, so how suppliers should make sure that it will not harm the environment. So the ethical is not only from the employee and with suppliers, also the ethics towards the environment, okay. Alright, so that's it for this chapter. What time is it? Oh, it's still 9.